Hey there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I am excited to be here today to share an alternate project using the June 2025 Full of Charm Paper Pumpkin Kit from Stampin' Up! So if you aren't familiar with Paper Pumpkin, it is a monthly crafting kit. Usually you get all the supplies to create cards. However, every once in a while there are 3D or other projects. This month you get the supplies to create 9 cards. These are the 3 cards here. So 3 each of these 3 designs. So pretty. But what I like to do is I like to take the contents of the kit and scrapbook with it. So that's what this video is for, or is about. So every month you get like brief instructions as well as all of the supplies that you need. Everything that you need apart from maybe a pair of scissors is in this kit. You get a Stampin' Spot. This month it is Pretty Peacock. You get an exclusive stamp set. This is the stamp set this month. It's called Full of Charm. You get adhesive. So this month we've got mini glue dots, dimensionals, and tear and tape. And then if there's embellishments that are required, you get those, you get envelopes, and then all the pre-cut pieces that you need to create that month's project or projects. So we're gonna set this aside and I'm gonna share. I usually take out one of each of the supplies that I need, and then I will also pull out some coordinating product as well because I scrapbook usually 12 by 12. So obviously these are the supplies to create cards, so you do need to throw in some extra supplies. And I do often throw in some extra little things as well. So I'm gonna walk you through what I've pulled out here. Let me set this aside. So first of all, I grabbed a piece of 12 by 12 paper that coordinates this pattern here. I love this pattern. This is what the backside looks like. This is a specialty pattern paper. From you can find it in the online exclusive section of the annual catalog, or of the Stampin' Up! Website, sorry. And either side would work because there are gold elements in this kit, but I felt like this is too much gold. So I'm going to use this backside, and I love this pattern. I just can't decide if I want it to go this way or on this side or this side. So I put it this way for now. We might change that. And this is from the Season of Elegance Specialty DSP. And you get Pretty Peacock, Old Olive Basic Beige, and I think it's Cherry Cobbler DSP in here. And one side has some gold elements to it, and the other side is just plain. All right, okay. And then the other thing that I've pulled out is I pulled out some of our new rub-ons. So these are the Metallic Textures rub-ons. So they come, you get sheets of gold and silver. So obviously I'm going to pick out the gold ones. You can see that I've used them here. I've used some of them already. So I'm going to pull out these, and I'll probably use a couple of these on my projects as well. These you can find in the annual Stampin' Up! Catalog. And then I've got some coordinating cardstock. So on the back of the instructions, it always lists the coordinating Stampin' Up! Colors. So I've pulled out some Old Olive. I've got a photo placeholder here, but I do have my 4x6 photo, which I've trimmed down to, I just trimmed an 1/8 off 2 sides so that I have a nice little border. I love to use these placeholders for photo mats because I love having a white border. You can print your photos that way as well. But this is just a leftover placeholder that I had from one of our workshop kits. All right, and then I've got one of each of the pieces. You can see I've already popped that piece out. So I've got those. And then I also need to do a title because the stamp set this month, well, because it's not intended for scrapbooking, the wording is not big enough for a scrapbook layout. Some of them are good for like little embellishments or to add to a scrapbook layout, but not great for a scrapbook title. Even this Let's Celebrate You, if that worked with my photos, it's kind of small, so you'd need something a little bit bigger. So I have pulled out the Alphabet a la Mode die set. I've also pulled out Celebrate Together because I think I'm going to use a combination of these two things. I want the word remember from this set, and then I'm going to make the rest of my title with this. But I have also pulled out the month by month alphabet. Now this stamp set is one of the 2 exclusive stamp sets that you will get if you register for, or if you purchase the month by month virtual scrapbooking kit. So in July, Stampin' Up! Is holding a virtual album retreat. And when you purchase the kit, you get an invitation to the retreat, and we'll be making 12 two-page 12 by 12 layouts. And in your kit, you get 2 exclusive stamp sets, and this is one of them. And I absolutely love the font in this. I love that you get uppercase, lowercase, and numbers that all coordinate, and it's a great size. So I might end up using that as well, just depending on what my title is going to end up being. And then I've also pulled out these great dies. These are the party banner dies from the annual catalog, and then some coordinating ink and some ribbon. This is a new ribbon that will be available in July. It's Mossy Meadow and gold. So Mossy Meadow on one side with some gold flecks, and then gold on the other side, and then some gold twine, which I might use. This is actually retired. Unfortunately, this is no longer available, but you might have some gold twine in your stash. So I like to go through my supplies and kind of pull out some additional products that coordinate with the kit, just to stretch it a little bit and to just step it up a little bit. Okay. All right. So what I have done is I have taken, let me grab the one card kit, or the one card base that I want to show you. I have it here somewhere. Okay. So I have taken this card base, and I've gone ahead and I've fussy cut this image out, because I don't want it as a rectangle. I want it as a floral shape. And there is this beautiful piece. I love this so much. Really do love this. So this was just popped out. It's all done for you, and it's meant to match up. Let me just figure out the way it goes here. I think it goes this way. So it's meant to match up. So we're going to use that as an accent on our scrapbook layout. And then I didn't throw out the rest of the space. So what I did was I cut this in half, like along the score line, and I fussy cut around, but I didn't throw away this extra space because I will end up stamping on it. So I'll flip it over and stamp on it. All right. And I always say to my scrapbookers, whenever you are creating with a kit, don't ever throw anything away until you're done with the kit, because you never know when it'll come in handy. Okay, so I've got the extra pieces here. So here is the back of that card, or the back of that card that we cut apart. And I want to create a little tag out of it. So I'm going to, right now this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to rotate it this way, and I'm going to cut it in half at 2 3/4. And then I'm going to take my snips and I'm going to create a tag. So I'll just freehand cut that. And then this piece that came off, I'm going to flip it over, line it up here, and trim that. And then we have a relatively even, angle on both sides. And then we're going to punch a hole in this. So I will grab my 1/8 of an inch hole punch and just punch a hole. And this is where our ribbon's going to come into play, but we don't need to do that just yet. I kind of want to get some of my elements ready here so that I can start assembling. And I'm going to speed you guys up when I do that. So I'm kind of thinking that this is going to go on here. This is going to get matted on here, so I have a little bit of that green showing. And then we'll position this somewhere, probably somewhere close to the center. And then maybe this on this side, and our tag over here. The tag will be kind of like a title placeholder. And then I do have some journaling that I want to do. So I might add some journaling down here, or I might create a second tag and have it so that this will move and have the journaling underneath. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's kind of what I've got planned in my mind so far. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll speed this up and talk you through what I decide doing. Okay, so I'm going to start by adhering my photo to my photo placeholder to give me that nice white border. You can also use white cardstock, and sometimes I use like a good quality laser copy paper for this as well. And I'm going to cut my old olive cardstock to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, so it'll give me about an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. and matte that to it. And that's just a great way to bring in that green because there's so much green in the photo. And it really just helps make the photo pop. And I'm going to position that a little bit closer to the left, but towards the center of the layout. And here I've got my floral focal point. I'm going to just add some mini glue dots to the back and adhere that. That will help me kind of make it easier to move around so that I can kind of figure out where I want to place it rather than the two pieces. I will end up popping this up using dimensionals when I adhere it to my layout though. So I'm just kind of putting it in different areas to see. At the moment, this white tag, it just feels like it's too much. It's just off. It is so stark, so bright, and feels very heavy for the page, so I'm not sure I love it. And then here I'm just showing you that I stamped this leaf image with Pretty Peacock, the smaller leaf with some Mossy Meadow, and I stamped those on the back of, on some scrap white cardstock, and then also on the back of the space that was left from fussy cutting the floral image. And I've gone ahead and I've fussy cut all of those. And now I'm just kind of positioning some in different areas to figure out where I want them. I have way more than I actually end up using, but I'll save those for a different project. And you can see up in the upper right there, I've got a banner sitting there because I think I want to add some sort of little cluster up at the top. So here I'm just kind of playing around with the positioning of this tag to see where I want to put it. I don't mind it there, but then it's not going to serve as my photo placeholder or my title placeholder. So I end up putting it back, and then I go and die cut that banner. I think it was the second smallest banner from the Party Banners dies. But if you don't have banner dies, you can just easily cut one of these yourself. So now I'm just popping out all of those extra pieces. You can see I positioned the leafy die cut piece in the upper left corner of the photo. It's not going to stay there. I don't love it. And then here I stamped a day to remember, and I fussy cut it so that I have to remember, because my title is going to be a trip to remember. So I'm going to position that on there. And then I pulled out my Alphabet a la mode dies, and from some early espresso cardstock with adhesive sheets on the back, I cut the word trip. And now I'm just going to trim this because I wanted some green leaves in two different areas and didn't want to use another green die cut piece. So I just trimmed it because it was too big for the top anyways. So I trimmed it into two smaller little clusters of leaves. So here I'm removing that piece. I just don't love it there. It feels too much. It's too much white. So now I'm pulling in the rub-ons to decide which rub-ons I want to use. And if you have not tried these rub-ons, they are not rub-ons of like the past. These, all you have to do is rub them with your finger. They transfer beautifully. You don't need a popsicle stick or a bone folder. You know how rub-ons used to be, and they were so finicky. These are so simple to use. You'll see here, I'm just rubbing just a little bit. I'm not even applying very much pressure. And then they just peels off, and they are beautiful. I absolutely love these rub-ons. So I added those little splatters there to bring in a bit of gold. And then I'm going to use this leaf image kind of behind my tag to bring in some gold over there. And then I'm going to use, I cut out two of these larger splatter images. I actually only end up using one of them. You'll see that in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to start adhering. So I've got my photo adhered and my flower cluster adhered with some dimensionals. Now I'm just adding in a few of these fussy cut leaves that I stamped. I add 3 of those Mossy Meadow ones, kind of to add to my cluster. And then I'm going to work on my tag. So I pull in about 4 inches of that Mossy Meadow ribbon, wrapped some gold twine around it, and then I decide on tucking it under because it takes away some of that white and it really makes the photo stand out a little bit more. I felt like with the tag in front of the photo, my photo kind of got lost. So I'm adding this gold leaf here, just using my finger to rub on it. And look how beautiful that is. So pretty. And then we're going to add some adhesive to the back of this. This will just get tucked underneath so that we see a little bit of that gold. And then that, to remember, is going to go on with dimensionals. So I'm just trimming the edges here. I apologize for my sniffles. I've got, I think my allergies are acting up here. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out my positioning. I do want a little cluster of leaves there. And this is something that I always struggle with. When you put something askew like this, like my tag is askew, but does my title, because it's going on top of the tag, should it be askew as well? So I really hemmed and hawed with the word trip. I didn't, not so much with to remember, but with the word trip, I wasn't sure, should I line it up with the tag so that it's kind of at an angle, or should I make it straight? I chose to go straight, but I'd love to hear what you guys do. Comment in the comments how you guys would deal with this. Would you put your title crooked so that it's lined up with the tag, or would you do like I did and put it straight? All right, so using adhesive sheets on the back of those letters makes it so easy. You just peel off the backing and position them. No messy glue. I tend not to use a whole lot of liquid glue when I scrapbook. I prefer to use like a dry adhesive, a roll-on adhesive. However, now that I say that, I am using liquid glue here, but just a little bit for my embellishments for my leaves. I'm going to take that the timid tiger flower and add that to the bottom here. And I will eventually grab another one of those timid tigers from the kit and put it up at the top so that I've got that orange in 3 different areas. So now I'm just auditioning these larger splatters in a few different areas to see where I want to put them. I thought there, but then I end up putting it in the top, including it in the top right cluster. Okay, so we grab that little flower. We're going to adhere this and then trim it so that it's not quite so long. And here this is where I decide to just use one of those splatters. And you do need to be careful with these because they do adhere really well. So if you put it down and then try to lift it up, sometimes part of your image will already be stuck down onto your cardstock or your pattern paper. So you do want to be careful. Make sure that whenever you set it down, you're committing. Okay, so I'm just going to trim off this excess. I'm loving how this layout is turning out. Okay, so then this leaf is going to go down and our flower with a dimensional. And I'm going to position it closer to that splatter. And you can see when I adhere my leaves, I just put a little bit at the base, a little bit of adhesive at the base. I don't want the whole leaf stuck down. I like to have elements coming off of my page. It makes it so much more interesting. Okay, so now I'm adding some of the gold sequins that came in the paper pumpkin kit. So I'll add a couple up here, 3 for this larger cluster, and then 2 more for the smaller cluster on the left where the title is, so that I have an uneven number. And I realized that I forgot the word A. It's supposed to read a trip to remember. So I did go back and add that in afterwards. I wanted a little bit of white up at the top here. So I took one of the die cut circles from the kit, and that will probably be where I add the date. And I'm loving how this turned out. So I just need to add my journaling. So I did do a test on the back because it's the same color DSP on the back. I tested a white gel pen and a black pen, and the white showed up a lot better. So I chose to do my journaling with the white pen, and that is it. So I'm just jotting that down on there, and yeah, it just talks about how we are so grateful to be able to offer this trip with the kids. This was at the tail end of our trip, so I was just talking about how grateful we are to have the opportunity to take them and experience it with them. And then here is a closer look at the layout. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.